Hello, my name is Keith Neumeyer. I'm the CEO of First Majestic Silver Corp and the chairman of First Mining Gold Corp. First Majestic is the focus for today. For those of you who do not know, First Majestic is one of the purest and largest silver companies in the world. We're trading on the Toronto Stock Exchange and the New York Stock Exchange, and our production in 2021 is approximately 25 million silver equivalent ounces, of which 55% of that is silver and the rest is gold.
Good to meet you. Welcome to London.
Yeah, nice meeting you as well, Matt.
And what are you over here for?
We're here for the one-to-one conference.
Right. And what sort of companies or investors are you meeting?
Oh, mostly institutional investors. I think all of them are.
Right, and they're existing shareholders.
Some were. Mm-hmm.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
You trying to branch out and get a bit more of a European coverage?
We've got pretty good European following as it is. You know, we've been in business for 19 years, so we're pretty well known.
You're pretty well known. You're pretty big. 4.5 billion.
In that range.
Not too shabby, and aim to be the world's biggest silver producer. Is that the goal?
That's the goal. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But we the gold keeps increasing, which is a challenge, right? Because staying as pure as we would like to, it's really tough finding good silver properties.
Well, it is.
Silver mines.
I'm intrigued by companies of your size. When we sort of interview CEOs of multi-billion-dollar companies, the challenges are obviously very, very different at this end. And people, investors, especially fund managers, they don't necessarily look at the detail anymore. They're looking at the bottom line. The expectation is that you'll continue production levels and grow them. So how do you go about managing because Jerritt, we're going to talk about acquisition, but you also got organic on the books. So how do you manage that balance?
Well, it's opportunity really that comes up, now and then, right? So I built the business through M&A, since 2004 was the first year that we actually got into production. That year, we only produced 25,000 ounces of silver. But today, of course, we're much larger. I put the portfolio together by being aggressive and being opportunistic. And, Jerritt Canyon, the most recent acquisition in Nevada, de-risking the portfolio slightly because all the other assets are in Mexico. Yeah. The previous acquisition was done in 2018, and the acquisition before that was 2016.
Right, and would you have done that if there wasn't that kind of run-in with the government re-tax at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, that's a legacy issue. Yeah, that came with the Primero asset.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that still exists today. It's an unfortunate situation. Now we're working on it, of course, and we would have expected it to be resolved by now. But you've got a government there that just is entrenched, and it's through NAFTA arbitration currently.
Yeah, and we saw that Fortuna, obviously, they've had a few issues as well. Do you think what's happening there with the Mexican government?
Yeah, this government just unfortunately seems to be quite socialist. They're populist as well, and they're almost anti-investment really, which is the oil and gas sector has really been negatively impacted, and the mining sector, of course, you've seen the Fortuna news, which is unfortunate.
We saw them go after oil and gas quite heavily, and you guys not so much. I don't know if that's the kind of the history of mining in the country and perhaps the need for...
Well, there's 300 mining companies in Mexico, so it's a pretty important business.
Yeah. Let's come back to the de-risking component. Can we expect to see more of this?
More de-risking?
Yeah.
It's as I said, it's opportunistic. We're always in the market looking for assets. We never stop, and we've always got something going on the M&A front. Whether transactions actually happen, that's another thing altogether. But we're always looking.
And what do they need to look like? What's the profile that you're looking for?
Well, in production is preferably the case. It wouldn't do us any good to, buy an exploration project. Something advanced, in the late development stage, potentially pre-construction, but generally in production.
Well, that's where you're going to get the deals. And do you think your current shareholders would like to see a bit more of that in terms of improving margins? Because it's always about driving efficiencies, wherever in the business you're looking, isn't it? So on the M&A side, is that something that is more to the front of what you're thinking, or is it just production? We need to hit those numbers.
As I said earlier, getting good silver assets are hard.
Yeah.
And, if a good silver mine came to our portfolio, came into our portfolio, that would be a good thing. So, we're always looking, and, maybe the drill bit will assist us as well. We've got 27 drill rigs currently active between Mexico and Nevada. Right. And, we've got some great drill results coming out of Jerritt Canyon, some fantastic drill results coming out of Santa Elena, the Ermitaño ore body. So there's lots of activity.
Right. So operationally, I think people have expectations of you, which you've been delivering for many years now. Looking at the share price this year, precious metals was expected to perform a little bit better than it has. It hasn't. Thoughts for 2022?
Yeah, look, as long as the governments keep printing money the way they are, and I think you've got to be in gold and silver, and also silver I think is even better than gold because you've got that industrial component. You've got electric cars and solar panels. Both those two industries are consuming more than 20% of the world's supply of silver. The miners only produced about 800 million ounces of silver this year. That's up a little bit from last year because last year was a COVID year, but 760 million ounces were produced last year. Silver production peaked out in 2016 at 880 million ounces. And we're in a market where we're consuming 1 billion ounces of silver a year. So there's been this long-term deficit in the silver market, and you've got two growing industries that are just gobbling up silver. So, I think it's just a perfect storm for silver. And but as I said, the inflation, ball is rolling, and the governments keep printing money at the same time. So I think silver is going to get this double bang for your buck kind of thing.
It's interesting. Obviously, the market in two ways is going to do a little bit of work for you. In that sense, you've got to continue doing what you're doing, and that's going to be probably good enough for institutional shareholders. But in terms of other types of investors, they're going to want to see some kind of growth component to this. And I know you're looking at projects all the time for acquisition, but is there organic growth going to be a major contributor for you? You've got a number of projects in the hopper at the moment. Is that where the growth's going to come from?
Yeah, for sure. And Ermitaño, that ore body was discovered back in 2016, and we did our first pour just last week. So after 6 years, after discovery, which is pretty fast. Yeah. Fortunately, the mill was built already because it's a Santa Elena mill, which is only 4 miles away from this new discovery. And that's going to add another couple million ounces of production in 2022. Right. And it's going to grow likely through 10 million ounces by 2023 or 2024. Right. So that's pretty exciting, from the current level of around 5 million silver equivalent ounces.
And with regards to the 4 producing assets, what's in terms of life of mine there? When's the decline start happening, or can you continue those in terms of organic expansion?
Well, the Ermitaño ore body had a 7-year mine life.
Yeah.
So that mill is going to be operating way into the future. And it's a huge land package. It's, 250,000 acres, over 100,000 hectares of land. It's all in this Sonora state, very prolific part of Mexico. And then you got Jerritt Canyon as well, which we think we can double the life of mine there over the next 2 to 3 years, because that's an asset that's been starved of exploration development dollars. And, this year produced about 110,000 ounces of gold. By 2024, we're expecting that's going to be getting close to 200,000 ounces of gold.
Right. What's the deal structure look like there? Because you're sitting on a bunch of cash, right? Mm-hmm. And you're throwing off cash as well. But if there are acquisitions to be had, it's slightly more expensive than organic, clearly. Do you foresee the need to raise capital in the markets going forward?
Look, if it ever happened, it's simple. It's a 5-minute phone call. So, the stock trades like water. It trades its entire issue.
It did, but it's also trading sideways at the moment, right? So I'm trying to think. So where's the growth come from? Where's the upside?
I think the whole mining sector is trading sideways.
It is, and you could probably argue it's a win in that case this year, right? But next year people are going to want more out of this. You've explained some of the reasons why it might grow, but is dividends a big part of the policy with you?
Say that again.
Dividends a big part of the policy.
We do pay a dividend. Yeah. It's a small dividend. We'd like to see it increase, but it's the first year. Yeah. In 2021, it's a 1% of revenue, and if we can get that up over the next couple of years to 2 or 3%, that would be a good thing. But we have to see whether or not this metals move is for real. And silver at $25 an ounce is pretty good. It's a reasonable price, and gold at 1,800 thereabouts, 1,850 is also a reasonable price. But I'm a bull on the metals. I think we're going to see 3,000 on gold and triple-digit silver, and I think that's going to happen over the next 3 to 5 years. And if those events do occur, of course, our dividend's going to be increasing.
Big ifs, but if they don't, it's still a good.
I personally don't think they're big ifs, but I think it's very likely.
Okay, if they don't, the price is still good. You're still making money. It's not a bad environment to be. But sentiment isn't there for equities this year? What were they distracted by?
I think we're going to, have a market crash. I think, we're looking at 2000, 2001 all over again. You've got a lot of, toppy looking activity going on in the marketplace, and, a lot of money chasing a lot of these meme stocks and, a lot of the tech stocks, and, you've got the SPAC market as well, which, it looks...
That's still going?
Apparently, it's a pretty active market. So there's really no one paying attention to the mining sector at all. It's being completely ignored. And it's obvious, from this conference that we're just finishing today, that there is kind of a love and hate, relationship, between investors and the mining sector, because, it is a very kind of stop and start type of industry. And, the investors tend to, come and go, I think, a little bit too quickly sometimes. But, I'm optimistic that 2022 and 2023 are going to be much better markets, but I think it's going to require a similar type of environment that we saw in 2000, where the NASDAQ, peaked out at 5,000 in March of 2000, and over the next 3 years, it dropped 80%.
It's nice for a clear out there, isn't it? Get rid of a bit of the white noise out there, right?
Yeah, I think it would be good, and then the money will start flowing into real assets again, and of course, not all the money will come into the mining sector, but a lot of it will.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, is there's been a sort of slight segue off into stories which aren't necessarily based on fundamentals, but based on more sentiment and momentum.
Well, everything's headline.
That's got to give.
Well, I think, fast money is going to chase momentum. So if, and there's always going to be fast money out there. So if some of this capital starts flowing into real assets like the metals industry, I think it has to, because just the pure supply-demand fundamentals of copper and silver and other metals that we need for the green revolution. And then people are slowly waking up to that environment. So the money will come into the sector. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen.
And where from. I guess you're probably unlikely to be affected by the silver squeezes that you saw on Reddit-type platforms. But do you welcome that in the sector, or is that
our stock doubled over a period of a couple of days?
Right. So, and then what happened?
Well, of course, it came down.
Right.
So.
So do you like that environment?
Well, it brought in a lot of new investors that weren't watching this in market previously. So from that perspective, I think it was positive. The negative, of course, is when something goes up and crashes down again. Because people lose money, and then someone got hurt along the way, and you never like to see that happening. But I think the audience now, we're getting, for example, we sell silver off our website, and we're selling 1,000 ounces a day off our website, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, innovation in mining is coming through. It's innovation not just underground, but in terms of the way that you guys are having to talk about ESG, so social responsibility, all of that kind of good stuff. I know you talk about.
Yeah, but the mining sector started ESG. The mining sector has been doing ESG for 100 years. We didn't call it ESG. We called it CSR. Yeah, so someone's just come up with a new name.
Is that what you feel about it? So the good companies have always done it, but now it's again. It's sort of, I'm intrigued by the kind of momentum type component to mining is coming. Everyone's looking for a new angle, and is ESG just another version of what went before, but it seems to have captured the imagination somewhat.
Well, it's a responsibility of any corporation that's active in a community, whether you're a Levi's manufacturer or whether you're a mine or what the case may be. We have responsibilities in the communities, which we take very seriously, and we called it CSR. And ever since I've been in the mining sector for 35 years, and we've been always having good CSR programs in place. You have to have it.
Yeah. Well, Keith, I've enjoyed meeting you, hearing what's going on, what has been going on this year, and your views looking forward. Things to look forward to as far as your company's concerned next year, or what? Just leave us the reminder.
Well, I think the key is really Ermitaño. All right. So that's going to, as I said, we had our first pour last week, and it's going to add a couple million ounces of production to Santa Elena, which is going to be great. So costs are going to drop substantially, and of course profits are going to go up substantially. So and then Jerritt Canyon, just watch for life of mine increasing due to drilling. We have 27 rigs active right now, which is a lot of rigs, and so you're going to see life of mine expanding at both Jerritt Canyon and Santa Elena.
A lot of rigs, a lot of conviction.
Yeah.
Keith, lovely to meet you, sir. let you get back to your investors.
Okay,
Speak
thanks,
soon.
Matt. Appreciate
Cheers.
it.